Togo. I cannot stay quiet about Togo. It just wouldn't make sense. It would be crazy and insane. I just cannot stay quiet about Togo. Togo is a lovely place. I have been there before. I have physically been there before. I was received with a lot of friendliness. Such good people, amazing human beings, great food, great culture. But Togo is going through the most. Here's Togo on a map. They're going through the most. Okay, people are being beaten up, taken away from their families, abducted, struck. People are losing their lives. Bodies are being found, and it's going crazy. It's real havoc right now in Togo. Many people are screaming. Many people are crying. People are bleeding as we're speaking, and it's not a beautiful thing to see. And I'm very worried about Africa in general. I don't know if Africa truly is ready. I'm worried about Africa because I don't know if Africans are ready for democracy. We all wanted independence, right? From the white man. We want to run ourselves. We're going to be happy. But what do we see within African communities after they free themselves from the white man? That's a big question. What do Africans do to one another after they free themselves from the oppressor? That's a big question. Let me give you an example of Sudan. Here's Sudan on the map. Sudan used to be a country, biggest country in Africa, okay, with Arabs in the north and blacks in the south. The blacks were complaining, saying Arabs developed the north, they took care of the northern people, they maintained the northern communities, but the black were left to themselves. They had no opportunity, no hospitals, no decent infrastructure. How about we separate and cut the country in two parts so we can have our own land? And many people endorsed it, especially black people, saying, at last, black people can have their own land and run themselves. Please give them their country. It was war between the Arabs and the blacks, unaliving many black people. At the end of the day, what happened? The black people got their independence. They created their own country. The newest country in the world, South Sudan, right here. This is what they look like. Dark-skinned, tall people, very tall, tallest people in the world. Beautiful people. But guess what happened later? Guess what happens later when the black people got their own country? They started unaliving each other. Yes, they started unaliving each other bad, like animals. They started unaliving each other. And it's very sad. It makes me think of one of the pioneers of apartheid in South Africa who said, black people can't run themselves. He said, black people can run themselves. They cannot. If you give them guns, they will shoot each other. If you give them power, they will oppress one another. Was he correct or not? I'm just asking. Now, what's happening in Togo, fellas? Fellas, civil rights groups are complaining in Togo. They say at least 7 bodies have been found. 7 people have been unalived in a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo leader Faure Gnassingbe to step down and release political prisoners. So Togolese people went down the street crying and asking the president to step down. This is the president, Faure Gnassingbe. He's been in power since 2005. How many years is that? Is that illogical for you? I mean, let's just think about it. Not knowing him, not knowing whether he does good or bad. Being in power since 2005 to 2025. Would it be illogical for people to say, okay, maybe it's time for you to leave? Let me know how you feel about it. Now, it's been crazy because the protest is deadly in Lomé. Lomé is the capital. Mass demonstration took place in Togo from June 26 to 28, led primarily by youth civil society groups and diaspora activists demanding a resignation of Faure Gnassingbe over constitutional reform they deem a constitutional coup. So there is a constitutional reforms that just occurred in Togo. They have changed something in constitution. They have changed something in the constitution of Togo, and the Togolese people are unhappy. Okay, we're going to get into that just now. Now, what the results? What has occurred? 7 bodies were discovered from rivers in capital city Lomé, according to a coalition called Le Front Citoyen Togo Debout, which accuses security forces and militias of committing abuses. So, Le Front Citoyen Togo Debout accuses security force of unaliving people and militias who are affiliated to the president. You know, in Africa, usually when the president is in power, some people, civilians, okay, because of money and situations, they will just support the president. Doesn't matter what the president does. The president may shit his pants. They will support him. No, you didn't understand. He didn't shit his pants because he wasn't careful. He shit in his pants because he was showing familiarity with people that shit with them pants. So it's a good president. He's showing the people that you should not discriminate. against people that shit in them pants. That's how these people are. What do they get in return? Sometimes money, endorsement, sometimes opportunities, sometimes houses, cars, and stuff like that. Every country in Africa has those type of people. Yes, they will do anything to support the president, whether he's doing good or bad. Even if he's unaliving his citizen, they will support him. Do not dare talk about the president. They don't reason. They don't think. They don't even think anymore. They already have an objection to what you have to say. The Togolese government has denied the claim of death were linked to last week's demonstration. They said there was no death at all. Okay, even though people have seen the bodies, the government said, "Oh, this has nothing to do with us." Togolese government is now threatening legal actions against the protest organizers, calling the protest a campaign of disinformation and hatred that was orchestrated abroad. They said the campaign is a campaign of disinformation and hatred. Okay, people are coming to the street, asking the president to step down because they are tired. Number two, because they've changed the constitution and they're not okay with that. Now, the government is calling this protest a campaign of disinformation and hatred. Now, political context, let's understand this. Now, you need to understand the context of this, okay? This is the president, Faure Gnassingbé. Okay, his family has been in power for 58 years. His family. His father was a president also. His name was Eyadema Gnassingbé, this man right here. He had been in power for 38 years, since 1968, when he took power via a coup. Okay, so it was a coup d'etat. He took power through a coup, military coup, by force. He stayed in power for 38 years until he died. He was in power. After he died, the military forced the son to take over, to become president. And he's been president since then. So if you combine since 2005 and that of his father, you can do the math by yourself. Now, are countries kingdoms? I'm just asking. I mean, I see a lot of Africans do this. When the president dies, it's his son. I mean, look at this country. This is Congo, DRC. When the president died, Laurent Désiré Kabila, he was shot because he left the West mentality. He didn't want to work with the West. When he became president, overthrowing this guy, Mobutu, who was a dictator for 32 years. You see now, dictator, all of them. Like, I'm worried about Africans. Do Africans actually like Africans? Once they get in power, they just become different. It's dictatorship. I'm going to look after my family, take care of my people. I don't give a continental about you guys. I'm doing my thing. Me and my people, me and my tribe. Yes, Mobutu, this guy, when he started, it was okay. Until, he actually made sure Lumumba died. Do you remember Lumumba? This man right here, this man fought the Belgians after the Belgians colonized the Congo. They took over the country. They unalived millions of people. Okay, this country here, Congo, belonged to the king of Belgians. Now, this Lumumba was a big fighter. You probably have heard about this. Big fighter of Africa. Big Pan-Africanist. At 34 years, he was already prime minister in his country. Now, he trained Mobutu. Mobutu overthrew him because he wanted power. He wanted to be the chief. Once he became the chief, he consolidated the power around people from his tribe. Look at this tribe. This is Equator in the Congo. People, bandits and all that, power was around them. And after Mobutu stayed for 32 years, unaliving many African people, this man came, Laurent Désiré Kabila. When he came, he was a bit of a Marxist. He liked Russia. He wanted things for the people, by the people.
We are not inherently against Westerners, but we do not agree with them, especially when they demonstrably do not want the fundamental interests of our people to be properly defended and upheld, which is a crucial point of contention for us. I want my country to be completely free, and in any case, a modern country.
Well, the Americans came to the Congo trying to take him, we're bringing him some money so you can work for us. And he didn't want to do that. He said, no, I don't want your money. When he came into power, he said, when I came to power, somebody brought me money. And I asked him, what is this money for? Yeah, they brought him money. Here's a package, a couple of millions of dollars. He said, no, I just became the president freshly 2 days ago. What is this money for? Oh, no, it's just money for friendly. No, for friendly what? What are you giving me money? I don't want your money. Unlike many other nations who went to IMF and World Bank asking for loans, like Africans usually do, asking for loans, he refused to ask for loans. He said, I'm not going to loan. Our country has enough of resources. We don't need that. Well, The Western nation didn't want it. They didn't like it. The CIA and all these other people, they did everything. They powered him. And after his death, they put this supposedly his son. Okay, some people are contesting. They say he's not his son. Well, it's crazy. We don't know. I don't have the DNA test. But yeah, his name is Kabila too. And this is not the only place. You even see this within churches. A pastor, he is the main pastor, preaching people the gospel of God. When he's dead, then they take his son to be the pastor. Doesn't make sense. Like, out of all these church members, are you telling me there's nobody else who's got the skills and the aptitude to run the church? It has to be the son. Something's wrong with this. That the mother will cry, no, my husband, obviously the wife of the pastor will cry. My husband has done so much work. So much work has been put into this for the leadership of the church to go to somebody else. It has to be my son. Well, is this about God or it's about your family? This is the very mentality of most Africans. And I am asking you, are Africans actually ready for democracy the way it is? Are you ready for democracy? Show me a country in Africa where they change power through vote and it's honest. Well, besides perhaps South Africa, show me any more South Africa's own issues with apartheid. We're not going to dive into that right now. And the economic issues, because we know politically black South Africans have power, but financially they don't. We know that. They don't have the lands, they don't have the money. We know that. Black people work for white people in South Africa. Finish and clear. Black people live in land that belongs to... Yeah, we're not going to get into that. That's another problem. But show me an African country where they went through elections, the ballot was clear. Maybe beside Botswana. There isn't many African countries. It's usually coup d'etat. Why do people... I mean, you're asking yourself, why do people do coup d'etats? Because people have found that there is no other way to change power. Because when you go through ballots, there's cheating. Even the people that are supposed to be observers are in the pocket of the president. So the president pays everybody. I'm going to do election. I'm going to give you $50 million. Make sure I win the elections. People are tired. Now, this man became president after his father. For some reason, people felt like the entire Togo had nobody competent enough to run the country. It had to be the son of the previous president. Now, what is happening in Togo right now? There's media censorship. So all major media broadcasters cannot broadcast what's happening in Togo because people are being unalive. Now, the question is, do they have the right to block media broadcast from broadcasting? They perhaps do have the right, and some people will say to you, RFI, which is a French media, and France 24, which is a French media, is telling lies about people being unalive. Well, are these images fake of people crying and screaming and throwing things on the ground? Are these images fake? I mean, are there Togolese people here to confirm whether this is fake or not? Now, just because France TV talks about a situation where people were unalive, abducted, beaten, shut down, does it mean they lie just because it's France? I don't know. Do they lie? Yes, they do lie sometimes, but do they say accurate things? Well, they do say accurate things, or else it wouldn't be a broadcasting company, would they? Now, the other thing, number 3. So since 2002, the authority banned demonstrations in Togo. So you cannot demonstrate in Togo. You cannot stand up and say, okay, we want to fight for our rights. It is illegal. You cannot do that. What's the reason? The authorities have said the reason is for security reasons. You cannot demonstrate. So even if you are angry and unhappy, you cannot demonstrate. You probably want to find out why, okay? Why are the people angry? Okay? How about that? Let's find out. Why are the people of Togo angry? It's very simple. People of Togo are very angry because of the change of the constitution. What change has been implemented in the constitution? Now, a reform was done in May 2024. What does it say? Number 1. So there's no more presidential election in Togo. Finish. No more presidential election. So people are going to the ballot and it's finished. You can't do that. How do you elect a president? The parliament choose who the president's going to be. So a bunch of people in the parliament, 100 and something, choose who the president is going to be for millions of human beings. Did you vote the people in parliament? Probably not. But they have the power to vote who the president is going to be. That's in 2004. Number 2, they create a new system. Okay, what the new system? The new system is a president of the republic is going to be ceremonial. He's not going to be the president with the power the way we know anymore. okay? And he's going to be elected by parliament. And Togo has elected a ceremonial president already. His name is Jean-Lucien Savy de Tové. That's an interesting name. Jean-Lucien Savy de Tové. Sounds like a French name. Yeah, that's the president. Now, beside the president who's ceremonial, just like a king in the UK, he doesn't really hold any political power, but he's a king. Yeah, so Togo has done that. Now, they created a new position. Number 3, a new powerful position. It's now called the President of Council of Ministers, like a super prime minister. Okay, and this position, who's there? This is the position that's all the power, the legislative, the legal, the army. It's under this person. So president has become just a puppet. Just celebrate me. Now the new position is this guy. That's a super prime minister. You call him the president of the Council of Ministers. He's got all the power and the decision. Now, for Nyasimbe, who has been president since 2005. who's gone through elections and won, now doesn't have to have a limitation in terms of elections, okay? Because now this position that's been created, it's forever. You don't have to change it. So literally, you remove somebody from being obliged to do election, to hold election once in a while, to a position where he doesn't have to do that anymore. Now, essentially, this means by experts that Nyasimbe can remain in power indefinitely. He can stay there forever. Now, again, who vote the president, parliament? Who is the biggest amount of people in parliament? It's UNIR. Who's UNIR? UNIR is the political party of the current president. Now, the parliament in Togo has about 113 places. Okay, out of 113, 108 people are UNIR. This is parliament. One person, one seat for the DMP, one seat for the FDR. Okay, these are all small political parties, and for them is 108. When are you ever going to vote a different president? I'm just asking. I am just asking. Okay, I am just asking, fellas. Is Africa ready? Repression. Activists and journalists are beaten up. They are put in jail. Okay. Number one, internet shut down, digital surveillance. Things are going crazy, notably in 2017 and 2020 and 2025. The government slowed down and cut off internet access, especially during elections. They say to protect peace and stuff like that. Okay, number three, some of the objective, they say they did that to prevent mobilization and suppress circulation images of eyewitness account. It is judicial harassment of journalists and opponents and critical journalists such as Ferdinand Haïté. Okay, Ferdinand Haïté was prosecuted for so-called press offense, sometimes in prison and often in exile. So people are going through the most. There's another opposition figure named Agbeyome Kojo in 2020, in presidential elected. He was repeatedly arrested and placed in house arrest. So that's what it is, fellas. Are Africans ready? I'm just asking. Are we ready for freedom? We're very strong when it comes to, no, Black Lives Matter, racism, Donald Trump is racist. How do you treat each other with one another? That's my biggest question. Can you actually go through democratic elections in African country? Show me an African country. Show me an African country that respects elections. Remove Botswana. Okay, we've already spoken about show me African countries that respect elections and it's not rigged. Show me African countries that don't have fanatics, blind fanatics that are related to tribes and ethnic groups. Show me an African country that has zero political party that is affiliated to a tribe. Zero political party that is affiliated to a tribe. You will find every African country with a political party where the majority of people are from one tribe. And the leader is from that tribe. And if somebody comes from a different tribe, people start to murmur. They will obviously bring one or two people from different tribe to make it look like it's not tribalistic. But the reality is there's jealousy, there's hatred. What can we do in Africa? I cannot stay quiet about Togo, okay? I have not invented anything. All of the things that I've said here are on the internet. You can find them. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. I stand strength. I send good energy, power. Drop your comments. YouTube says a lot of you guys watch videos, but you're not subscribed. I don't know why you're not subscribed. I think it's about time you come. This is where we speak. This is where we talk about the motherlands. We sometimes bash each other. It's necessary so we can go to the right direction. I appreciate you. God bless.